Hey, good morning. Mark here with another morning rant. You ain't gonna believe this crap. You're not gonna believe this. Here we go once again with white folk trying to whitewash. Let me say it. Trying to whitewash American history in the name of CRT. Even though CRT isn't mentioned here, which is awesome, but here we have another episode of white folk trying to whitewash American history.
Elementary School in Brown County allegedly sent a letter home to parents allowing students to opt out of Black history lessons.
The last line of that letter in this picture reads, "If you would like to opt your child out for receiving these lessons, then sign the form below and have your child return it to the school to give to the teacher." The post is making its rounds on social media with thousands of retweets and comments. One response, "This makes me really sad for America." Another writes, "Why would this even be an option?" 13 News reached out to the counselor who wrote the letter and were referred to the superintendent. After leaving messages, we showed up.
We went to the Brown County Schools Administrative Office to speak with the superintendent, but we were told she's not available.
Then Wednesday afternoon, 13 News found out the superintendent sent a letter to parents and staff about the situation. She released this statement to 13 News. She says, in part, quote, "We do not allow students and parents to opt out of required curriculum, including instruction on social studies and histories. Any decision related to parental consent and curriculum determinations are made in accordance with the law. We are looking into the matter to determine the justification for the language included in the letter. We will respond to any parental concerns on an individualized basis."
So earlier this month, a Sprunica Elementary School, a letter to Sprunica Elementary School in Nineveh, forgive me, people, Indiana, enthusiastically announced plans to teach lessons of equity, caring, and understanding differences in honor of Valentine's Day and Black History Month. Studies show, and this is in quote, studies show that students have a greater understanding of diversity in the classroom and outside world will demonstrate improved learning outcomes such as improved grades, better peer relationships, and greater career success later on, stated the letter, which was signed by school counselor Benjamin White. But below White's sign-off, the letter gave parents the option of shielding their children from the lesson. Parents could sign the bottom of the form under the sentence that read, "My student does not have permission to receive this lesson." A photo of the form was sent on Twitter. In a letter to family and staff member, Superintendent Emily Tracy acknowledged the opt-out form and said the school district is gathering more information on the matter. In the meantime, know that we support teaching about the facts of our history, including historical injustices. Tracy wrote, "Our district is and will continue to be committed to having compassion for all and supporting an education community that will allow all students, staff, families, and community members the opportunity to feel welcome." About 240 students are enrolled in Sprunica Elementary School, which is 97% white. News of the opt-out form comes as teachers and school administrators around the country grapple with how to teach race-based lessons. In 13 states, new laws or directives have limited how race and sometimes gender are addressed in classrooms, leaving teachers fearful of the repercussions and in some cases opting to pull lessons. Indiana is among at least 27 states considering such legislation. Passed by the Republican-controlled Indiana House in January, House Bill 1134 proposes limits on race and history lessons in the state's classroom. Although state Republicans there on Tuesday proposed changes that would slightly weaken the bill, in January a similar bill stalled in the Indiana Senate after its author, Republican State Senator Scott Baldwin, said teachers' lessons about fascism and Nazism should be impartial. He later apologized and told the Star that Nazism, Marxism, and fascism were a stain on our world history. How can you make Nazism, Marxism, and fascism and the history of that impartial? This is what's going on in America when you talk about race. No one wants to discuss it. This is an elementary school. So naturally, the teachers in that school are going to tailor that lesson to the minds of the elementary students. They're not going to give these kids critical race theory on a master's graduate degree level. They're trying to teach these kids. Well, first of all, let's say this. If you're gonna let white students opt out of teaching black history, then have students and parents the authority to opt out of other history. Because when you teach about manifest destiny, when you teach about American history, you have to teach about what white folk did to the Native Americans. So that should make kids uncomfortable, right? Look at what white folk did to Native Americans. Look at how they stole Texas. Look at what they did to the Native Americans in Georgia because they wanted the gold on their land. And the Cherokee Indians won the Supreme Court decision. And Andrew Jackson still put them on the Trail of Tears and sent them west to Oklahoma. Let's opt them out of that lesson. Let's opt them out of that lesson. If you want to opt them out of black history, opt them out of World War II because that's going to make people feel bad about Jews. Let them opt out of suffrage in America because that's going to make women feel inferior. When you teach how women were denied the right to vote until 1920, that's going to make little girls feel bad. So let's have parents opt them out of that. This is what I'm talking about. Just like that black kid that got arrested and detained over the white kid the other day. And I just saw a video on that. They went further into that those two police officers are being investigated. They haven't been suspended yet. And I guarantee you, if they are suspended, they'll probably be suspended without pay. Well, suspended with pay or on administrative leave with pay. This is what we're talking about in America. There are, 27 states that are trying to start legislation that's going to shield white kids from black history. Not black history, from American history. 27 states are proposing, and like I said with Florida, they are trying to get Floridians to approve a bill that's gonna charge teachers with a criminal charge if they make white people feel bad in the lessons that they teach. How the hell do you teach a lesson on American? How do you teach children in school American history without going through all of American history, as much as you can get inside the little time that you have? Why is it that we got to learn about the American Revolution and be patriots, but at the same time can't tell them how the opposition to that when black folk were trying to get freedom? Like, hey, we're fighting for freedom? Well, shit, we should be the ones fighting for freedom. This is what I'm talking about. When you have schools who are afraid to teach white children, and that's the problem. This is the problem, because those racist assholes in the 50s and 60s, they are the grandparents and great-grandparents of the kids today. And they're still teaching that bull crap at home. So when someone says, we're going to teach American history as it is and show them the truth of American history, they want you to opt out of that. So those little white kids can go back home and continue to receive lessons from their parents that talks about how other races are inferior to their race. And despite it all, race is a social construct anyway. white people, the term white people didn't exist until about the 1600s. You want to go a little bit further? White folk genetic materials or DNA trace back to about 6,000 years, where the black man goes hundreds of millions. Don't want to teach that to children, which I understand. Their little minds probably can't grasp that. But I'm pretty sure the experts, the certified teachers of those elementary schools, are going to tailor those lessons to meet the young minds of those students that are going to learn it. But they have an option to opt out of that lesson. So the school board or whatever, they said that no parent has the right to opt out of any curriculum. Because if you can opt out of that, you can opt out of anything. So what the hell the kids going to school for? It's a glorified daycare. If you can't tell the teachers, if you can't tell the students the truth about American history, then what the hell are we doing? Why would you want to shield them from the facts? Got a coworker that told me that in her small town, there were no black people in her small town. The only view or whatever she got from black folk was on TV. She didn't get to see and interact with black people until she was in military boot camp. Talk about a culture shock. This is what's going on in America right now. And it's all because of the Republican Party and white people in this country feeling like they're losing their country. But I'm going to get up out of here. I'm going to leave this one short. Hey, you guys made it. It's Friday. Happy Friday. Hope you had a great week. Hope you have a great weekend. Holiday weekend coming up. We got tornado warnings in Alabama right now. So now I'm not going to say it because we might not be able to do it. So, but anyway, I will see you guys on the next one. You guys have a great weekend and take care. All right. I'm out of here.